Hello and welcome to the Tuesday Talk Show with me, your host, Yvonne Gorman from Essential Print Services. And you may have guessed the Tuesday Talk Show is powered by my very own small business, Essential Print Services, based on Pride Park in Derby. So thank you to the business for making this happen. I'm Yvonne Gorman, I'm your show host. If you're watching this live or on catch up, we would love to hear from you. So please send in your comments and questions, whether that's live on catch up. Do hashtag replay to let us know you're doing it on catch up, and we'd love to hear from you. But more now about my very special guest this morning. It's Peter from Shed Grounds Maintenance, aka Mr. B, joins us this morning. Hello, Peter. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. All the better for speaking to you.
Excellent. That is the correct answer. Peter, tell the people watching this live or on catch up who you are and what do you do.
So yeah, I'm Peter Botham. I am MD for what it's worth, and I never quite understand the term MD really, but it means Jack of all trades, I think. So I'm MD of a company called Shed Grounds Maintenance. Established it 18 years ago, so time flies. And yeah, we deliver commercial grounds maintenance across the country.
What does that involve?
The grounds maintenance.
Yes.
So if you could imagine, a typical client would be somebody like FedEx, and it would be one of their big distribution depots. And we'd arrive on site, we'd cut the grass, we'd trim the shrubs, we'd spray the weeds, and then we'd also do some exterior maintenance on ad hoc work, something like building washdowns, gutter maintenance. So anything that's outside, we will look at for you, and we'll keep your property looking pristine. And it is purely commercial. So yeah, nice big buildings. That's what we like.
Big buildings that you're looking for. That is very useful to know. So Peter, how on earth did you get to become MD of Shed Grounds Maintenance and have a business that is over 18 years old? I mean, Essential Print Services, we're celebrating just 10 years, and that feels like a long time, but you've been in it a lot longer than us. So how did you get here?
Well, you're a lot younger than me, Yvonne, of course. But, how do you, getting into your own business? It's a funny thing because I suppose it's always been my right to have my own company. I don't know why. I've always been surrounded as my father had his own business. So I was always brought up with somebody having their own business. It was a family business. It was a business maybe I should have gone into, I could have gone into. But I chose to, I suppose, plough my own furrow for whatever reason that might have been. And it certainly wasn't anything I was pushing back on to not be in the family business. I did do it for a while and I enjoyed it. But I guess my passion is horticulture. It's gardening. So even though we now have a nice small business, we're successful, it's the heart of this business is still horticulture. And I always talk about it being, like when you go to a restaurant, you get your main bit of meat on the plate. That's what we are. And then we have the onion rings around it, the chips, and whatever it's going to be, the extras, the add-ons. But we're still horticulturally. That's the passion. That's where the drive comes from.
So where does that passion come from for horticulture?
My grandpa.
Okay.
He was a big gardener, and I used to go on a Saturday to stay on a Friday night at Grand and Grandpa's and up early on Saturday morning digging the veg plot and doing his garden, and they were just special times, and I guess it was through that I got my kind of passion. And also I used to spend a lot of time with my dad in the garden. We used to have a ride on a lawnmower to do the kind of area around the back, and I'd sing my heart out. You could be anywhere, you could be singing your head off, and that I still love to get on a mower now. Go away to another place. It really does. People can hear you singing. You don't think they can, but you can. So yeah, a bit of ABBA, and away we go.
So what's Grandpa's name? What was Grandpa's name?
Douglas.
Grandpa Doug. That is an awesome name for a gardener.
Yeah, Grandpa Doug, it is, isn't it? Actually, yeah. Yeah, but he was a builder, so he was always outdoors. And he once said to me, he said, "You don't want to be in an office. You want to be doing something with your hands," and that kind of resonates with me.
Yeah.
Even though I guess I'm now office based, but it's still a hands industry, if you like. We can still see what we've done. At the end of the day, you can always turn around and say, I've done that.
I've done that. And it's that sense of achievement and real proud moment. So does this mean, Peter, that your garden at home is amazing?
It is a nice spot, I have to say. It is. I'm looking out now. I can look out the window here. And yeah, it is. I mean, they also have plumber's tap drip, but they kind of, in certain areas it does, but no, it's a lovely place. It really is a lovely place. And yeah, we're very lucky. Very lucky.
Excellent. That is really nice to know. So the past year to 18 months has been an interesting period of time for all of us, Peter. What have you learned about yourself during this surreal situation?
What have I learned about myself? I suppose myself with regards to the business. Just carry on as normal. I think when the whole pandemic set off, nobody knew what was ahead. People were thinking 2, 3, 4 months, whatever it was going to be. Nobody knew, but everybody presumed doom and gloom. I think by my very nature, I'm a very positive person. I think you have to be as a business leader, if you like. And we shut down for one day when we then realized that we could carry on working safely. The teams were all outside. We took on some extra vehicles and we pushed on. And people were saying, hey, is it the right thing? I said, well, yes, it has to be. You know, we've got a business that we can continue. We can still contribute to the exchequer rather than taking from it. And why should we not? The grass always grows, and it did. So I think what I've learned, I say from that, is one or two other people might have thought we could have just shut down, put everybody on furlough. That would have been it. But no, I think be strong in your convictions, and yeah, just do what you think's right. Don't be reckless. Don't get me wrong. Don't be reckless about things, but equally have a look at the situation, work it out, and then make a decision.
And just because everyone else around you was furloughing staff doesn't mean to say that that is the right thing for your business. And to, like you say, be strong, be brave, to do what you think is right for your company, not just what everyone else is doing around you. I think that's something that has come across during the previous shows. It's been really interesting because some of these shows have been happening and going live in the height of the pandemic, and it's really interesting to hear people's optimism changing over the shows. It's been really fascinating. So what sort of things have you changed? Have you changed much in the business because of the pandemic? And if so, what's your main COVID keeper? Maybe something you're doing personally that's different, or within the company?
To be honest with you, the business model is a very simple model, so it doesn't need to change. That didn't need to change. We did change the way we operate, in the fact we put one person per vehicle and hired extra vehicles in to keep the show on the road. I think, I don't know. I mean, I love change. I love any sort of change. I love to throw the cat among the pigeons. I use the create a crisis. But when things are going to be dull, just create a crisis. Throw something out there and challenge people. And I think, yeah, I mean, what's COVID taught me? We've walked and walked and walked. And when we were in shutdown and all the rest of it, we were kind of working from home. The lads were all out, and we went walking. Nicky and myself, we just went walking, and that gives you time to reflect, time to think, and I guess that's the one thing, is to realize, there's that same old phrase, isn't there? Working on the business, working in the business, and we all want to work on the business, but we always get sucked back into it, don't we?
Oh yes.
So that's all the challenge, is how not to get back into the business. But yeah, so what have I learned? Not to panic. Just don't panic.
Don't panic.
And whilst we've been lucky, because our sector perhaps hasn't been affected, and the grass will always grow. When I go around clients now and I speak to them as we can do now. And I went round, Triumph Motorcycles, for instance, who grounds we maintain down at Hinkley, big site. And they've had the best year on record. It was the worst 6 months to start with, And then the second 6 months just took them beyond any sales they'd ever seen. And I hear that time and time again. So don't get me wrong, hospitality, what a shame. That is it's just a nightmare. But on the flip side, businesses are still doing well. They're doing better than they were. And I think people have to remember that, to try and think of that. It's not all doom and gloom. The UK is doing well. We will do well.
Peter, I spoke to a small business owner the other day who has had a phenomenal 12 months. His sales has gone through the roof. He's hired more people faster than he thought he was going to, but he feels uncomfortable sharing that PR. What advice would you give to him? Do you think it's the right time to say, look, guys, look, everyone, we've had a great year? Do you think that's insensitive to those who haven't had a good year? Is it the right time to shout from the rooftops about how good you're doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you say just go for it.
I think we all have to shout it. Those that are doing well have to shout about it. The people that aren't doing well are coming through it now. They've been supported throughout it all, and they're now coming back. I think a lot of these pubs, restaurants, hotels are coming through it better and stronger. They're positioned now. They've a lot of taking opportunity. They've refurbed the building. The kind of restaurants and pubs and all that. And they're coming through, and they're going to do fantastically well. They'll just be a bit behind everybody else. But as far as everybody else, any bit of good news. And I think that's where I get a bit annoyed with the news and what have you. That they should be focusing on the success, on people who are doing well. And there's plenty of us about. There really are. I think we're 25% up year on year again this year, which is it's a nice steady growth. We always aim for that kind of a 25 growth year on year. And we're managing it. We will probably actually exceed that this year, in spite of everything going on around us. So let's shout it. Let's shout it from the rooftop.
Shout it from the rooftop.
Absolutely.
I love it. For everyone watching this live or on catch up, please send in your comments and questions. We would love to hear from you. I can see we do have a few people in the audience, so we'd love to hear from you. Send us a comment, and we'd love to give you a shout out. So I want to keep things quite positive. But before we go on to the good stuff, Peter, what's the hardest thing about running a business? I mean, tell us about a time perhaps that you've been at the absolute end of your tether and you've thought, that's it, I've had enough. Has there ever been those sorts of situations, and how did you get over it?
Too many to mention. I mean, it's a daily occurrence, isn't it? When you're running your own business, there's always things to knock you out. I guess the older you get, the more resilient you become. Let the world do another turn and it'll be a different place again. I think, back in the day when we first set up, it was, a slight issue would have been a huge issue. Whereas now you know that it's not the end of the world. We bought a business back in 2007, a landscape company, and we folded it in 2010. So this was a bad time. So it was the recession just hit. As soon as we bought this company, the recession hit. It was all commercial landscaping around these big buildings, so big projects, and the conveyor belt just stopped. There was no work coming through. That was a particularly bad time, because again, you got the responsibility of the people you employ, and sadly we did shut that business down. And I remember talking to one of my friends who's very successful, and I tell him about it. He said, look, it's business. It's what happens in business. You've had a go. You can't blame yourself for it. It was it was the economy that crashed around the business, and try as we may, we hung on. But I guess another point from that was knowing when to let go, because it could have taken everything down. So thankfully we got some good advice, and we did let it go, and it was a very, very sad day. But off the back of that, you learn from, if you like, I wouldn't say your mistakes. You learn from your experience, be it good or bad, and that's a key. That's a key in business. You're learning every day. You're learning every moment. You're thinking. And like I say, change. Keep driving that change through the business.
Peter, you mentioned you've got a successful friend. What makes them successful? Why do you call them that?
Well, okay, so he's successful. He's certainly financially successful.
Okay.
You know, yeah, he's got all the trappings of all that. This guy's he's basically a marketeer. You know, he's a chairman of this company now, but he's still a marketeer, and it's a drinks business. And he still goes out there, and he's still on the streets when they're launching a new product, finding out what the people like, what it is they like, and what makes him successful. What's it look like? It's changed for him. He's now giving back to the community, to a lot of people. He's a big mentor. He mentors a lot of people in business, which takes a lot of his time up. But that's where he gets his buzz now. So that's where his success is now. And I think when you look at a career of somebody going through, success will be the trappings, the financial. Once you get the financial bit sorted out, you then look to do something different, or you look to, I think your focus changes all through. And again, you know, you might have the ambition to sell your business, to float for a load of money. When you get near that point, you think, actually, is this what I need? Is it what I want? And I think, again, everything changes. Everything's evolving constantly. So success for him initially was the money. But then again, success it takes on a lot of different guises, I think, as you go through your career.
Absolutely. And that is a good point to give a shout out to our friends over at Hodsock Priory. We've got Tess and George from Hodsock watching us. So hello, welcome, good morning everyone. Loving the interview so far. Have a great day. Thank you so much, George and Tess over there. Good to hear from you. So again, if you want any shout outs, please do send them in. We'd love to hear from you. What is the good stuff then, Peter, about running your own business? From your point of view, what's the good stuff? Why should people do it?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure they should. It certainly isn't for everybody, is it?
No, it really isn't. There's some people that really shouldn't be running businesses.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when I used to work for a bigger grounds maintenance business, and again, it was the time when it was a great cushy job. It was great. I had to play golf 2 or 3 times a week, and I still brought in the figures for the business. Blah, blah, blah. It was great. And then I thought, actually, I'm not in charge here. I'm not in charge of my destiny. You know, as much and I think I was. This sounds probably a bit materialistic, but I think I was driving a little Ford. I was driving a Ford Focus or something like that at the time. And I thought, you know what? I want to drive something a bit more than that. But it's not my choice. It's not my decision. And I think something like that made me think I need to take charge of the situation here. And that's when I set up Shed. That's when I went off and came home and told Nikki that I'd resigned. And I was going to.
What was Nikki's response? What was your wife's response?
Well, we got.
Can you say it live on air?
we got a 2 and a 3-year-old at the time. And Nikki's she's into hospitality at the time. She used to work for Whitbread. She was an area manager for this group of pubs, so she had a good job, quite frankly. So probably we wouldn't have done it if Nikki hadn't quite got the job she got at the time. But yeah, she's how are you doing it? So I've not really thought about it. I'm just going to do it. And I guess that's where we were. It was one man in a van. I got a van and off I went, doing it myself. And then
did you write, an extensive business plan? Did you wing it? What was those planning stages? Because for me, in the early days, I did a really extensive business plan. But now I look back and I think there was no need to do it to that extent. Just a sheet of A4 would have been enough. What sort of planning did you do before you launched the business?
I didn't.
Okay. That's good to know, because I think the perception is that if you have to start a business, you have to write, War and Peace about what you're going to do, how you're going to find the customers. But it's not always that way, is it?
No, and I think there are different people in I did very badly at school. I didn't get any qualifications, and I went to horticultural college, and I got my degree at horticulture, and that took me on. But there are different people in this world. I don't learn by reading; I learn by doing. And I think, I think when the bank wanted a cash flow, I thought, and I struggled. I just struggled to even put a cash flow together. Whereas now we have a cash flow. We have a daily cash flow in the business.
We've got dashboards. We've got reports.
We've got everything going on. And like you say, sometimes too much stuff. You're focusing on the minutiae, and the bigger picture is more important. So at the time I set it up, I didn't know what I was doing. But what I said before, learn fast as you're going along. Learn what you need. And then we took another vehicle, 2 more guys on, and then I took a step back from the business at that point. And that's when we started to grow. And that's when I started to learn about how, and I got involved with 1 or 2 peer-to-peer groups, different people in business, and you learn so much from other people in business. I mean, that's one of my biggest things is, as you know, we're on a networking group at the moment, which I find fantastic. It's like-minded people, and we just learn from each other. I love learning from other people.
So getting the right support network around you is important then for someone thinking about starting a business.
Yeah, and I think that's what you aim for. I think certainly the initial support you get from whoever you talk to. Just talk to people in business. Just find anybody, and then I think as you grow, the biggest thing is getting the support pillars in the business, the finance right, the marketing right, making sure you get those pillars that are right for your business, and get the right people involved. And I think one of the biggest things I've probably learned is don't try and get away with a cheap salary. If someone's good, pay them the money, because you won't regret it. You might not think you can afford it, but go for it, because trust me, if they're good, they will bring in the returns. I think
you've touched on a point there, Peter. Definitely something that I do when I look to recruit a new person, a new seat in the business, is I make space for the person as if they were there in the business. So when that right person comes along, we're ready for them. That space is in like financial space, putting a physical seat and a desk together for them, getting the computer ready. And all of a sudden they just come in and you think, oh, okay, we've made that space for someone to come in, and they've come into the business. So definitely something that we practice over here. We are flying through time, Peter. So we're going to get to a new section of the Tuesday Talk Show, which is where the tables are turned just for a few moments, and Peter gets to ask me anything. And that's why I've got butterflies in my tummy, because I don't know what he's going to ask me. Will I have the answer? Let's find out. Peter, over to you.
I don't know. For you, Yvonne, I think I'd ask you, what is the most important aspect of your business?
Me.
Is it?
I am the most important aspect of my business.
Why?
Because I am the only one right now running the show. The book lands with me. I'm the face of the business. It's my responsibility to have all those different hats on in the business, whether it be marketing hat, financial hat. I'm a graphic designer by trade, so I've got to do the design work that comes into the business, as well as processing all the print orders that we have. So at the moment in time, it's me. Before COVID, it wasn't me. And I was able to step back from the business somewhat. And the idea was to start packaging it up to sell on within the next couple of years. But because of the pandemic, it just decimated our order book. And unfortunately, we had to make loads of redundancies. So at the moment, I'm rebuilding it to sort of rebuild and refocus on that plan. So at the moment, right now, as this goes live in August 2021, I am the most important thing in the business, which is a good thing and also a bad thing.
There's light at the end of the tunnel, though, isn't there? Like you say, I mean, do you want to build to where you were before? Is that what you're aspiring to now?
I'd like to build to where we were before, but in a different way. There were things that I weren't happy with, but because it was doing well, it would have been very strange to rock the boat, I believe anyway, to rock the boat and to, try and fix something that wasn't broken. But there were things that I wasn't happy with. So now I can use those 10 years to really rebuild faster to where I want it to be, which is really, really exciting. I feel like I've got a brand new business all over again. So you can just and that's a really unique situation for a business owner, to have the chance to do things differently and learn from all that experience, and just really positive now about the future, which is awesome.
It's a new
your question.
It's a new platform you would never have had. It's a new opportunity that you can grow again, and like I say, you'll fly. You will fly again.
But enough about me. We've only got a few minutes left. I'm going to get focused back on you, Peter, whether you like it or not. At the peer-to-peer group that we're in, it's all about learning from each other and the resources that our leader, Stuart Ross, brings to the table. Are you a bookworm? You mentioned that you don't particularly like to, learn that way. You're more of a doer than a shower.
Oh my gosh! It's not that I don't like to read. It's just that I fall asleep. I think I had a book, and it was a holiday book, and it took me 4 holidays to read it, and that was over 4 different years.
But at least you did it.
Yeah. But there's one book that I did read, and it was called "Who Moved My Cheese."
Yeah.
And it's a business book all about change. I don't know if you've heard of it, but if anybody like me, it's a small book. It's only so many pages, but I'm flicking through it, and there's so much stuff in there about change. All about how if you don't change, you get swallowed up. Making sure you have your sneakers around your neck, ready to go.
That must have resonated a lot with you then, from what you've said during the show so far. Definitely,
massive. Yeah. I always think about that. And I buy books with good intentions, business books, all this stuff, but they're just no. Sadly, I don't learn. I learn from talking. I did a course at Lancaster University Business School across there, and these master classes, the people coming in talking, these successful business people and coaches and whatever. And I learn from that. I learn from speaking, listening, and hearing. So,
awesome. No, it's good. We all learn different ways, don't we? And you've got to find your way that suits you.
I'm dyslexic as well. I find out that I'm dyslexic after my daughter's diagnosed dyslexic. I think I'm dyslexic as well. So yeah.
But for people out there thinking about running a business who do suffer from that, it's possible, isn't it? You can. It's
a strength. It's your strength.
It's your strength. It's your superpower. Wow. Go for it. Go for it. I want to dive into a couple more questions before we have to wrap up. What is your advice, Peter, for someone thinking of starting their own business? There's lots of people out there being made redundant, wanting to start their new side hustle. What's your advice that you'd give those people?
Get on with it.
Just get on with it.
Get on with it. You just need to get out. The business is out there to be had. Whatever you're looking to do, if you've got to want to do it, don't ever think you can do it without a passion, without a belief. You've got to want to do it.
Yeah.
But I think too many people get stuck on what they shouldn't do. They get stuck on the problem. Focus on the solution, not the problem, because that will get you through life, get you through business. Just don't get bogged down. Just get on with it.
I think many people wait for the perfect moment. And I don't know if you agree with this, Peter, but I believe that will never come.
Never.
You just got, like you said, you've just got to do it.
Yeah, and you will never regret it. Never, never, never. Just get on with it. I had a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. It was financial suicide, really. But it's worked out. But I wanted it to. It had to work out as well. So
determination for it to work is also key.
Yeah.
What's on your bucket list then, Peter? What's left for you and the business?
I think to get the structure in place now, so that maybe I can slow down. That's on my horizon. Slow down a little bit.
And is Nikki all for this plan?
No. She wants to press on.
Oh dear.
She's a little bit younger than I am, not a lot younger, but she's got a few more years. But yeah, that's where we want to be.
What would business look like, Peter, when it's done? Is there a finished article that you have in mind? Is it ever possible to have a finished article?
I don't think so. I think if you focus on the goal, on the end, that's not the way to do it. Just as we talk about the journey, and take each day as it comes. Have your plans, strategize, think about where you're going to go, but don't let that be the be all and end all in your business. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy.
That is a perfect moment to end there. Peter, thank you so much. We've hit the half an hour mark. As always, it absolutely flies by. And I don't know about you, but I've thoroughly enjoyed today's chat with you, proper one-to-one that we don't usually get to have. Peter, where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
www.shedgrounds.co.uk. And we're there. We can supply your grounds maintenance for you with a smile and personal touch.
With a smile and enthusiasm. And you're on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm on LinkedIn as well. Yes.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to wrap up the show there, Peter. We're going to come back to you in a very short while for your final thoughts. So get your thinking cap on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed today's show, Tuesday Talk Show. If you've enjoyed this one, there are loads more available on the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel. Remember to press the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified of the next episode. That's me, your host from Essential Print Services, Yvonne Gorman. I hope you've enjoyed it. Send in your comments and questions. We would love to hear from you. Over to Peter, though, for a final thought.
Change. Don't be afraid of change. If it ain't broke, fix it.
It isn't broke.
Yeah. You don't know it's not broke. You think it's not broke, but you don't know. Have a look at it.
I've done with that advice a couple of years ago. Definitely.
There's always a better way of doing something. Always.
Oh, Peter, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your insights and advice. It's been absolutely invaluable. And so we'll end the show there. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.